From Gachagua's door-to-door campaigns to Kindiki's fiery rallies, each sought to showcase their political prowess.
Mbeere North has become symbolic, and I think mainly because of the supposed leaders of that area who are both supposed to be heavyweights.
The two engaged in moments that created social media buzz, from Gachagua harvesting mogoka with farmers and taking tea at homesteads of locals, to both dining at local restaurants with residents and traversing the constituency in what was widely seen as outsmarting each other in their campaign tactics.
Si nimekunywa chai hapo, si nimelipa, nimelipia wale wengine pia. Wewe unakunywa chai unatoka, alafu unasema una pesa.
You are looking at the President Ruto's stake in the Mbeere North by-elections, to the extent that he has actually decided to give that particular by-election to his deputy president, who is coming from Mount Kenya, to run with it. But on this other side, we are also having Gachagua, who was impeached by this very same government. So Kindiki was impeached, and then Gachagua was impeached, and the person who took his position is the very, very same person who is also campaigning in the very same area. All right? So there is a candidate that is sponsored by the government, but there is a candidate that is sponsored by the opposition, led by Gachagua. Now you see the reason why the stakes are very high is because the opposition wants to prove a point that Mount Kenya has already gone out of Ruto's hand completely. Right, but William Ruto also wants to prove a point that despite the fact that you were impeached as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, the people are still with the government. All right? So the two of them, and especially looking at their lieutenants who are on the ground, looking at Kindiki, who is now campaigning viciously for the government's candidate, and looking at Gachagua, who wants to stamp his authority in Mount Kenya as the kingpin in Mount Kenya.
Sisi tunaamini ya kwamba uongozi unatoka kwa Mungu, na tunaamini ya kwamba ule Mungu amepangia. Mungu atazungumza na wananchi, wampigie kura ndiye akuwe kiongozi wetu.
Hapa kazi ni mingi, na Mungu amepatia nyinyi nafasi ya kupata mjumbe kutoka hapa akuja msaidie.
At first glance, the Mbeere North by-election might have seemed like a routine parliamentary race, yet beneath the surface, it carried the weight of Mount Kenya's political future.
Si UDA imekufa. Bwana yake amewachwa, alikuwa anaitwa Ruto, si ndio? Na watoto Sabrano, Roku, Karinda, Mudhende, watoto wale wamewa.
Huyo mtu mwingine ni nani huyo anakuja kuturingia hapa, my friend? Wewe nitapita na wewe. Wewe nitapita na wewe. Wewe nitapita na wewe. Mimi my friend naitwa Fire. Nitapita na wewe. Nitapita na wewe.
The attention they have paid to it has given it symbolic value. After all, it's just another by-election. And there are a number of them. The parliamentary level, you are having about 7. But paying attention to Mbeere elevates it higher than probably it should be.
Both Gachagua and Kindiki invested heavily in the campaign, mobilizing allies, resources, and engaging in fierce rhetoric to prove their dominance.
Kindiki ndiye alikuwa CS Interior, ukampatia amri akaua watoto wetu. Wewe unasema wale wauawa walipwe. Mtatuangusha, mtatuaibisha kama jamii. Mimi mwenyewe I'll be very embarrassed as your leader. Hata nitashindwa kutembea Kenya. Ati Ruto tunasema ameua watoto, afukuzwe aende nyumbani. Alafu wa Mbeere ati wachague mtu ya Ruto. Ni aibu, si aibu?
Na ukiendelea hivyo mimi nitakuaibisha. Gachagua nitakuaibisha, wachana na mimi. Omba kura ya Karish, wewe wachana na mimi. Mimi sio mtu ya kucheza naye. Wewe kwenda huko bwana na wachana na mimi. Wewe Goliathi. Wewe Goliathi. Wewe Goliathi. Umetisha watu siku mingi. Umetesa watu siku mingi. Siku zako zimehesabika. Alhamisi tunakumalizia. Mene tekeru pasin.
Most of the time I look at Professor Kithure Kindiki and the president as people who have worked together even outside politics. And they have a chemistry. In fact, they are comfortable with each other, whether there is a position or not. In fact, at times I look at Kithure Kindiki and realize, even if this gentleman is asked to step down for someone, he will do it honorably, nicely, without commotion. It is not going to be messy. Even if we reached there, it cannot be as messy as it has happened with Rigathi Gachagua.
Sasa mimi nimekuja tuliagana na nyinyi. Mkule pesa ya Kasongo. Mkule ya Soprano. Mkule ya Karinda. Mkule ya Roko. Lakini kura yote ni ya Newton.
For Gachagua, the contest was about to consolidate himself as the region's political kingpin after the fall-off from the national office.
Harambe!
For Kindiki, it was about demonstrating that he is more than just a replacement of the former deputy president, but as a politician with grassroots appeal and the ability to challenge Gachagua's supremacy.
Na mimi nataka kusema kama Daudi kwa Biblia, huyu Goliathi munaoona leo, Alhamisi ijayo, huyu Goliathi nitamwangusha.
Gachagua does not talk about Kindiki very much, because they don't see Kindiki as the issue. The issue is Ruto. But Kindiki, being the DP, has to be seen to be making noise. Gachagua was accused by the Ruto people of not making enough noise in support of Ruto. That was one of his offenses for which he was supposed to be impeached. So Kindiki is doing his job. Not that he's really competing with Gachagua.
The dignity and the pride of the mountain people is in the hands of the people of Mbeere. I beseech you, my people, please dignify our community. Restore our pride and dignity as a community. Hakuna mtu anaweza iba kura yetu. Sisi ni watoto ya Maumau. Utatuibia kura tukiwa wapi?
Wachana na mimi. Mimi nitakuaibisha. Wachana na mimi. Aende asiende.
The two Mount Kenya heavyweights staged campaigns designed to capture the attention and resonate with ordinary voters. Gachagua's campaigned for Democratic Party's Newton Karaoke, engaging in door-to-door campaigns, meeting families in their homes. His message was clear that he was a man of the people, grounded in everyday struggle of Mount Kenya residents. While DP Kindiki campaigned for UDA's Leonard Wamuthende, taking part in charged rallies and traversing various locations, engaging with residents in a bid to show humility and accessibility, portraying him as approachable and relatable. The contrasting style highlighted the different political brands the two leaders are cultivating. Gachagua as the hand-on mobilizer, Kindiki as the unifying statesman.
Ile mtu haelewi watu ya Mbeere ni huyu Kasongo. Na hii mtu yake ile inaitwa Soprano. Hao wajui watu ya Mbeere. Mimi nataka watu ya Mbeere mtafute heshima ya Wambere tariki 27.
Sina haraka ya kutoka, niko area. Niko area. Mimi nitatoka hapa tarehe 28. Na nitatoka hapa tukiwa na Leonard Wamuthende nikimpeleka bunge.
Election day on 27th November, voters and candidates alike turned up to vote. The voting exercise came to an end and it was time. When the voters were counted, the UDA candidate Leonard Wamuthende, aligned with Kindiki, emerged victorious.
It was tough. As you can see, it was a hotly contested race, and it's only through God that we've made it this far.
The result was more than a win for one candidate. It was a symbolic defeat for Gachagua, who had stacked his effort and energy on delivering victory.
In a game of football, It does not matter how well you play. It is the score that matters, all right? And politics is like a game of football. Arsenal is playing with Chelsea. So if Arsenal is playing with Chelsea, it does not matter how well Arsenal plays. If they don't score, then Chelsea will be given the 3 points. If Arsenal plays well and wins, it does not matter how well Chelsea plays.
Mimi naona ule jamaa wa mitego ate akisema mimi ni mfanyikazi ya William Ruto anijui, na kama aliniona usiku anijui vizuri. Mimi niko na tajriba mrefu sana katika mambo ya uongozi, sijaanza jana. Siku ile alikuwa naiba chakula ya relief, mimi nilikuwa profesa wa university nafundisha. Siku ile alikuwa dio akiiba chakula ya wananchi ndio afutwe kazi, mimi nilikuwa wakili wa Uhuru Kenyatta na William Ruto kule ICC.
Pesa inaibiwa ya masomo ya hospitali inapatiwa huyu Kindiki. Anazunguka na ndege na pesa akisunguka. Kama hapo Mbeere ametumia more than 600 million. Hapo Narok kwa hii by election na ni kadogo wametumia 100 million. Watu wanapewa 10,000, 5,000. Hata change Narok town hakuna. Kila mtu wako na 1,000 watu wanakosa change. Sasa hata wale wanauza chai nasema ukilipa 1,000 hakuna change kunywa chai kwende.
Gachagua is gifted in crowd rousing, and having been a former special DO in the days of Moi, those DOs were known to do a lot of things. He has not forgotten those things, so he's probably applying those tactics, whatever they are, only in a different setting. Gachagua should be given credit for being resilient, because the impeachment was supposed to silence him and removing him from the political picture. He refused. He refused to be politically dead, and he's running around with more energy than when he was DP. So there is something about him that has attractions of its own.
Now, Rigathi Gachagua is a fighter. Rigathi Gachagua is very, very vicious when it comes to this kind of engagement. I say that as someone who has contested against him in Mbeere back in 2017. What I saw in the last 2 weeks, in fact, I kept telling people, what did you expect? I mean, this is a person I know. I expected him to behave exactly how he has behaved. And I think he has not disappointed his supporters, because even his supporters expected him to behave exactly in the same way.
The outcome is seen as underscoring Kindiki's influence and, by extension, the Ruto administration in area that had been considered as the new Gachagua strongholds.
Watu wa madharau na kiburi wasikie, my friend. Hii dunia usikuje na kierere. Hapa ni fire, fire country. Fire, fire, fire. Ni fire si fire. Ni noma si noma.
It may also suggest that Mount Kenya voters are increasingly willing to defy elite endorsement, signaling a shift towards more independent political choices.
Rigathi Gachagua na timu yake walikuwa wanajipiga kifua, wanajigamba ati ya kwamba wako na kura ya mlima katika mfuko yao. Watu ya mlima wameongea kupitia watu ya Mbeere North ya kwamba Rigathi Gachagua anaota ndoto mchana.
Sasa huyu jamaa anaitwa Kindiki.
Fire.
Kijana yetu.
Fire.
Ni fire si fire.
Fire.
Ni noma si noma.
Noma.
Mbeere North may be a relatively small constituency, but its significance lied in its symbolism. Mount Kenya remains the largest voting bloc in Kenya, and whoever commands its royalty wields enormous leverage in national politics.
Muliona uchaguzi mdogo jana? Muliona vile tuliwaosha? Muliona vile tuliwaosha?
The by-election was supposed to reaffirm Gachagua's authority as the region's alleged kingpin. For Kindiki, it was a chance to prove that he can marshal grassroots support and position himself as a credible alternative voice.
I am the senior-most political leader in Mount Kenya region, for the avoidance of doubt. Yes. Yes. Mimi niko ndani, we uko nje. Alafu natuambia ati wewe ati ndio wewe kusema hapa.
Huyu profesa pia mimi nashukuru yeye. Siku rais alikuwa anatafuta running mate, kaona mimi natosha na profesa natosha, akakuwa pale amekwama. Mimi ni mchapakazi, profesa ni mchapakazi. Mimi ni mwaminifu, profesa ni mwaminifu. Tumekwama karibu 17 hours. Akatuambia tukae chini na profesa. Tukaongea, nikamwambia profesa, sasa kimiaka mimi ni mzee kidogo. So wewe niwachie, mimi niendelee, na wewe tukipata upatiwe ingine kubwa.
Kuna kampeni ulipigia William Ruto. Wewe ulining'inia. Ukakuta watu ya sehemu hii walikuwa wamekubali kuchagua Rais Ruto. Tukaketi kama chama tukasema tungetaka mmoja wetu awe pale kama naibu wa rais, ndio tuone tunawakilishwa katika uongozi. Na wakati chama imeketi, ukajaribu kulazimisha au kupata hata kura moja.
For Gachagua, the loss in Mbeere may have served as a wake-up call, taking him back to the drawing board. While he remains a towering figure in national politics, the defeat has dented his aura of invisibility.
During the campaign period, I would say Kindiki looked like he was playing catch-up because most of the ideas that Gachagua had, you would find Kindiki trying to do something similar at a later date. And you would actually find a lot of firing in social media, people telling him not to copy what Gachagua is doing. I would say Gachagua did very, very good in grassroots mobilization. So like he says he's a mobilizer, I would say he actually did his best. The only disadvantage actually I would say Gachagua had is they talked too much about this Wamudende guy. You know, sometimes you actually market your opponent by talking about him too much, even if you're talking negativities to try and convince people not to vote for your opponent. You don't talk too much about them. It's simple logic. So if I did not know who Wamudende was, like for example me, I wouldn't have known who had was looking for votes in Mbeere and all. But now I know there was Mboy and there was Wamudende, and now there is the Karish guy. I don't even know the other guys because nobody was talking about them. So you see, it is important when you're looking to beat your opponent, you don't over talk about him, because at the end of the day you're also selling him as you try to de-sell him.
Gachagua, I think perhaps due to resource capacity in terms of financing an election and those kind of things, I wouldn't believe they didn't have money, because they also have seriously blessed people within the ranks of DCP, within the ranks of DP, in the name of JB Muturi, in the name of Lenny Kivuti, on the other hand, in the Basque camp, who are all together pulling their resources together. But they were literally skimming over the area. They were just moving around and skimming over the area. And they didn't sell agenda. That's a major difference. If they were selling the agenda of their candidate, I think things perhaps would have been different. If you notice what Kindiki would do for 45 minutes on the podium, he would talk about the agenda of Leo Mudende and creating a nexus between Leo's agenda and the agenda of UDA, and therefore the agenda of Kenya Kwanza administration, about roads infrastructure, about water, about electricity connectivity, about education, but in Mbeere, with, you know, you'd scale down and create a nexus between the national politics, national development agenda, and the development agenda of Mbeere North, so that people would understand why they are supporting Leo.
Our politics is so personalized. We don't discuss issues. People do not go in front of a crowd to tell them, I will do this for you, I'm looking into this road, I'm going to make sure that you guys have water and stuff like that. We always play politics of personality. It's even, and it's the same thing that is happening with this thing. You hear one term and two term. Yeah. What is one term and two term? Why can't you tell people what you're going to do for them? So Apparently, I listened to Newton Karish, and as he was talking, he was speaking on another show. They had a debate on Sunday, and he called Wamudende Kamudu. You know, a small thing or a small person. When you listen to Amudende on the other side, I've not actually heard him insult, but his name, because it has some interesting meaning in our language, in our vernacular language, it has also been used against him. But you know, it is also not very wise to keep mentioning the name of your opponent so many times, because you end up making them very popular. So at times I hear them say Wamudende, 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 Wamudende. They think it will sound very bad, but you're marketing him.
Kindiki, on the other hand, has emerged from the by-election with renewed momentum. His ability to deliver victory in Mbeere North has boosted his credibility as a political player, not just as a composed second in command. His challenge might be to sustain this momentum and translate it into long-term influence.
Ni noma, ni noma, ni fire si fire, ni noma si noma, ni mbwekse si mbwekse.
We should not look at it as if it's a do or die thing, like he has to be deputy president. It's rather, what can he do to become the president in 2032? This is my view. If Kindiki is not deputy president in 2027, William Ruto's deputy or running mate in 2027, it will help him even more to become president in 2032. Because you'll not carry the burden of incumbency anywhere. You'll be his own man. You'll come out there, you talk to the people, and I think you read the charges outside government that may help, in the end, capture power in 2032. Those who took him as a walkover will now have to rethink.
While the Ruto administration celebrate the victory, the rivalry between Gachagua and Kindiki could destabilize the delicate balance of power, with President William Ruto expected to seek a re-election in 2027. The question of who will inherit Mount Kenya's mantle looms large.
Siniliwaambia watachelewa. Hakuna hata kiti moja walipata, kwa sababu ni watu hawana sera. Wananchi wamewatumia ilani, wamewatumia notice. Wasipotafuta sera ya kuambia hao wananchi 2027, tutawanyorosha asubuhi na mapema.
Tuko na agenda ya kurekebisha Kenya, lakini ndio hiyo agenda ifaulu, lazima Ruto aondoke. Hiyo ndio kitu, ndio na shida. Akilalamika tunasema one time, sijui Kasongo. Hiyo hataki kusikia hiyo, kwa sababu hiyo ndio inamuuma.
Mount Kenya as a region has never voted 100% for one side. It's never. They might vote overwhelmingly for one candidate, but not all. So there may be some sympathy or empathy, solidarity. And that would come if people believe that the government has failed in this and this and this and this. Then they vote not very happily with it. If for some reason they should be convinced that no, the government actually is very good for them, and they can show the evidence for it, then it will work. But I don't think the promises will carry the day, because people have seen quite enough. Enough not to be persuaded by promises.
Mbeere North by-election has emboldened the rivalry between Gachagua and Kindiki into a defining narrative of Mount Kenya politics. While Gachagua lost the first round, the battle is far from over. Both men remain influential. Their paths will inevitably cross again in future contests. For now, the by-election serves as a reminder that in politics, even small constituencies can carry great significance. The fierce rivalry in Mbeere North has not just been about who controls a seat in parliament, but who will shape the trajectory of Mount Kenya politics, and by extension, Kenya's national politics. For TV47, I'm Willie Dennis Njiro.